Delete the version of you that keeps quitting. That version of you has taken enough from your life. That version wasted your time. It delayed your goals. It made you hide when things got hard. It convinced you that stopping was smarter than trying again. And it always shows up when you need to show strength the most. But here's the truth. You don't need that version anymore. In fact, keeping that version around is exactly what's keeping you small. If you want real change, you have to make a decision. That version of you has to go. You've got to be honest with yourself right now. Every time you gave up on something you started, every time you walked away because things felt uncomfortable, that version of you got stronger. You trained yourself to quit, and you didn't even realize it. You trained your mind to avoid effort. You trained your body to sit still when it should have moved. You trained your habits to choose comfort over progress. You didn't wake up one day and decide to be weak. It happened slowly. But now you know. Now you see it. And the good news is, you can delete it. That weak version of you, it's not who you are, it's who you allowed to grow. But growth works both ways. Just like you grew that quitter inside you, you can also starve it. You can shrink it. You can replace it. But not by thinking about it. Not by writing it down. Not by wishing. You do it through action. You do it by pushing through one more hour. You do it by showing up when everything in you says stop. You do it by doing hard things, even when nobody's looking. The weak version of you loves excuses. It always has one ready. It says you're tired. It says, this isn't the right time. It says maybe later. And the more you believe it, the more your life starts to reflect those choices. Nothing gets finished. Goals get half-built. Promises get broken. And your confidence slowly disappears. But when you stop giving power to that voice, when you stop listening to the part of you that wants out, you start getting stronger, one moment at a time. Every day you're faced with two options. Either you feed the version of you that quits, or you feed the version that fights. There is no middle ground. Every decision you make, whether to keep going or to stop, decides who you become. That's how habits are built. Not in one big aha moment, but in thousands of small ones. And if you keep quitting every time it gets tough, then tough things will always control you. You have to build a new response to pain. Because right now, quitting is your response. It's your escape hatch. It's your pattern. And as long as that pattern stays in place, your life won't change. You'll just start more things and finish less. You'll talk a lot but do very little. And you'll watch time pass without moving forward. It's painful to admit, but it's powerful to realize, because if you can see the problem, you can fix it. You kill that weak version by doing the opposite of what it wants. When it says stop, you go. When it says relax, you push. When it says it doesn't matter, you remind yourself that it does. That's how you flip the switch. Not with hype, not with loud motivation, but with quiet decisions made over and over again. The weak version dies every time you choose to keep going. Think about all the things you walked away from too early. The habits you started and never stuck with. The goals you set and dropped when it got real. You weren't too weak to achieve them. You just listened to the wrong voice. And you've done it enough. Now it's time to take control of your actions. Not your feelings, your actions. Because the truth is, you won't always feel strong. You won't always feel motivated. But if you act strong, you will become strong. And if you act weak, you'll stay that way. That's what people forget. Strength doesn't come before the action. It comes after. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build. And you build it by refusing to quit. That's the foundation of everything. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to be the fastest. You need to keep going. That's what separates those who make it from those who don't. They keep going when the rest sit down. They keep pushing when the pressure shows up. They keep working when it's boring, frustrating, exhausting. And here's something else. You're going to feel like quitting again. It's not a one-time decision. It's not something you hear once and everything changes. The weak version of you will show up tomorrow. It will show up next week. It will try again, and when it does, you will have a choice to make again. That's how real change works. It's not about motivation, it's about discipline. And discipline means doing what needs to be done. Even when the old version of you wants out, your job now is to make quitting feel unfamiliar. You've made it a habit for too long. Now it needs to feel uncomfortable. You have to get used to finishing. You have to get used to follow through. You have to get used to showing up when it's hard. And the more you do that, the more your life begins to change. Your results start catching up to your intentions. Your self-respect starts rising. You stop doubting yourself so much because now you've got evidence. You've got proof that you can do what you say. You're not just hoping anymore. You're not just talking, you're doing. That's the difference between the weak version and the strong one. One hides behind reasons, the other moves with purpose. And every action you take makes one of them stronger. So the question is, who are you training today? If you're still stuck in cycles of quitting, that's okay. What matters is what you do next. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stop running when it gets tough. That's where most people lose. Not in their ability, but in their endurance. They can do it. They just don't stay with it long enough to see results. Don't let that be you anymore. Don't be the person who always starts over. Be the one who finishes. Be the one who proves to themselves they can. Not for applause, not for likes, not for attention, but for you. Because your life is your responsibility. And if the current version of you isn't strong enough to carry it, then you have to build a better one. Not later. Not when it's convenient. Now, delete the version of you that keeps quitting. Erase it with every decision you make. Replace it with a version that doesn't flinch under pressure. Build a version that pushes back when things get hard. Create a version that finishes what it starts. And every single day, wake up and train that version through your actions. That's how it's done. Not with more words, with more discipline. Not with more hype, with more follow-through. Not by waiting to feel ready, but by moving when you don't feel like it. And when you do that long enough, something changes in you. The weak version goes quiet. The strong one takes over, and life finally starts to feel like progress. That's what you came here for. To win the battle in your mind, to stop being dragged around by emotions and distractions, to take control of your future. And the only way that happens is if you kill the part of you that keeps quitting. Kill it with action. Kill it with consistency. Kill it by becoming who you were meant to be starting today. Stand up and handle your problems like an adult. That's the chapter of your life you can't skip anymore. This is not about pretending to be strong. It's about finally deciding to stop running from things you know you need to fix. Life does not stop giving you challenges just because you ignore them. And nobody is coming to clean up the mess for you. If you're waiting for someone to rescue you, you'll keep waiting. Adults face what's in front of them. They don't blame. They don't hide. They take responsibility for what's broken and get to work fixing it. You've probably had moments where everything felt too heavy. The stress, the pressure, the problems, they pile up. So you shut down, avoid it, distract yourself, and call it a break. But that break turns into days, then weeks, and sometimes even longer. And while you're avoiding the pain, it grows. It starts controlling you. You start living in reaction to everything instead of taking control. That's how the weak version of you stays alive. It feeds on delay. It feeds on the hope that someone else will figure it out for you. But the truth is, nobody else can handle your life. That's your job. When you start acting like an adult, you stop expecting things to be easy. You stop asking why life is unfair. You stop comparing your struggles to others. You start focusing on the next right move, not the perfect outcome, because problems don't go away when you cry about them. They don't disappear when you vent to everyone. They go away when you start solving them step by step. No matter how tired you are, adults don't look for comfort first. They look for what needs to be done. They don't care if it's difficult. They know the consequences of putting it off are worse. It's not about age. It's about mindset. There are people in their 40s who still think like children. And there are people in their early 20s who take full ownership of their lives. What separates the two is not how smart they are. It's how real they are with themselves. If something is wrong, they admit it. If they're falling behind, they take action. If they've made mistakes, they learn from them instead of defending them. That's adult thinking. And the moment you embrace it, everything in your life starts to shift. Think about this. How much of your stress right now is coming from things you're not dealing with? Conversations you're avoiding, bills you're not opening, habits you're ignoring, goals you're pretending you still care about but haven't worked on in months. Those things don't go away on their own. They collect interest. They grow. And if you don't face them, they start defining you. That's why people start feeling stuck. It's not because they don't know what to do. It's because they keep putting off what needs to be done. Being an adult means you face your reality exactly how it is. No filters, no spin. If you're out of shape, you say it. If you're not disciplined, you accept it. If you've been making excuses, you call it what it is. That's the starting point. And from there, you build, not with perfection, but with consistency. You start fixing what you can with what you have. You stop wishing for better circumstances and start becoming better within your current ones. A lot of people talk about healing, peace, and growth, but they avoid the part that requires action. You can't meditate your way out of a mess you created with your habits. You can't talk your way into progress if your actions don't match. Growth is hard. It hurts, but it builds you into someone who no longer runs when things get hard. You want to be that person who looks problems in the face and says, "I can handle this," because that's where real power comes from. Your ability to take control even when you don't feel ready. If you're overwhelmed, simplify. Don't try to solve everything in one day. Pick one issue and work on it today, then do the next one tomorrow. Progress is built in layers. You build momentum by taking action, even when it feels slow. The more you show up for yourself, the more confidence you build. You stop feeling like life is happening to you. You start realizing that you have more control than you thought. And once you taste that control, you'll never want to give it away again. Stop outsourcing your problems to other people. Nobody owes you solutions. Not your parents, not your friends, not your boss, and definitely not the government. The moment you hand off your responsibility is the moment you lose your power. Take it back. Say, "This is on me and I will handle it." That single shift in mindset will raise your standards. You'll stop tolerating weakness from yourself. You'll stop letting yourself off the hook every time things get uncomfortable. It's not about being emotionless. It's about using your emotions the right way. You can cry. You can feel frustrated, but you don't stop moving. Adults feel things, but they don't let those feelings control their life. That's the difference. Your emotions are signals, not orders. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel doubt and still take the next step. If you only act when you feel strong, you'll spend most of your life stuck. Strength is built when you act, despite the feelings trying to hold you back. One of the best things you can do is set boundaries with yourself. Say, "I will not allow myself to run anymore." Say, "I will deal with my responsibilities like someone who values their life." Because that's what this is really about, self-respect. If you respect yourself, you will not keep abandoning your duties. You will not let laziness run your schedule. You will not act like someone who needs to be pushed every day. You'll do it because it needs to be done. That's the adult in you taking over. And you know what happens when you live that way? Your life starts working, not perfectly, but better. You stop being reactive. You stop blaming. You stop falling apart every time something unexpected happens. You start becoming solid. You start becoming someone others can count on. You become someone you can count on. That's the greatest feeling in the world. Knowing that you show up no matter what, that your word means something, that your effort is consistent even when your emotions aren't. This isn't about being tough for show. It's about building a life that doesn't collapse every time something goes wrong, because problems will keep coming. That's part of the deal. What changes is how you respond to them. Will you face them or flee? Will you solve them or stack them up? Will you grow stronger or shrink back into excuses? That choice happens daily, not once. Every morning you wake up and decide who's running your life, the child in you or the adult you're becoming. You don't need more time. You need more ownership. You don't need a new plan. You need to follow through on the one you've got. You don't need the perfect path. You need to start walking. That's how you earn your growth. Not by waiting, not by overthinking, but by doing what needs to be done. Even when it's boring, even when it's uncomfortable, even when nobody notices. That's how strong people are built. If something's broken in your life, fix it. If something needs to change, start changing it. If you're tired of the results you're getting, stop doing the things that got you here. Take responsibility for every area of your life, not out of shame, but out of strength. That's how you take your power back, not by controlling others, not by changing the world, but by changing how you show up for your own life. Stand up and handle your problems like an adult. It's not a punishment, it's a privilege. You have the ability to face things and make them better. That's something to be proud of. Most people hide. Most people delay, but not you, not anymore. You're not built to run. You're built to grow. And starting today, that's exactly what you'll do. One decision at a time, one step at a time, until the old you is gone and the new you, strong, reliable, focused, starts to rise. That's how you kill the weak version of yourself, by becoming the adult your future needs you to be. Starting now. Force yourself to act when you feel stuck. Because if you don't, nothing around you will move. Time will keep going. The days will keep passing, but your life will stay in the same place. You'll keep thinking about change, but never experience it. You'll keep talking about growth, but never live it. The feeling of being stuck doesn't just go away on its own. It gets deeper. It becomes your new normal. And if you don't break that pattern with action, it turns into who you are. You've got to interrupt it, and you don't wait for the perfect moment to do it. You create the shift yourself. It starts with the smallest step, not the best step, not the one you saw in a book. Just one step that moves you forward. Because that's all it takes to crack the freeze. You've been overthinking. You've been waiting to feel ready. But feeling stuck is not a signal to stop. It's a signal to move. The longer you stay still, the more powerless you feel. You're not tired because you've been working too hard. You're tired because your energy is stuck inside you, going nowhere. When you sit in that state too long, your mind starts lying to you. It tells you this is where you belong, that it's fine, that this is just life. But deep down, you know better. You don't escape that feeling with more thinking. You escape it with motion. You have to force yourself, especially in those moments when everything in you wants to wait. Waiting is easy. That's why people do it. They wait for inspiration. They wait for motivation. They wait for a spark. But here's the truth. There is no spark unless you create it. Your actions create energy. Your decisions create movement. Sitting around trying to feel different will never give you the life you want. Movement creates clarity. Movement creates power. That's how you move from stuck to strong. You're not lost. You're just not moving. And movement fixes more than people think. When you take action, even without the perfect plan, you begin to feel alive again. You're no longer just sitting in your head thinking in circles. You're living. And when you live, You start finding out what works and what doesn't. You start learning from doing. That's what most people miss. They think they have to have it all figured out before they begin. But life doesn't work like that. You begin, and then you figure it out. You're stuck because you've been making decisions based on comfort, not conviction. You've been avoiding discomfort and calling it patience. You've been hiding behind "I'm thinking it through" when what you really mean is "I'm scared to move." And that's okay. We all feel that fear. But the difference between staying stuck and breaking free is one word: force. You must force yourself to move. Not because you feel ready, but because you're tired of being in the same place. The people who get ahead in life aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who act while everyone else is still thinking. They're the ones who show up even when they're unsure. They're the ones who keep pushing even when they don't feel like it, because they understand something most people don't. Motion beats everything. It beats fear. It beats doubt. It beats perfectionism. It beats depression. It beats laziness. You can sit and think all day, but if you don't act, nothing changes. You need to stop asking yourself how you feel and start asking yourself what needs to be done. That shift changes everything, because your feelings are temporary, but your actions leave a permanent effect. You might feel tired, but if you act, you'll gain momentum. You might feel unmotivated, but if you act, you'll feel progress. Waiting to feel better before you move is like waiting for the rain to stop in the middle of a storm. You just go, you move anyway. That's how you win. Every breakthrough starts with someone doing something they didn't feel ready for. Every success story includes a moment when someone chose to act even though they were scared. This is your moment. You don't need another plan. You don't need more time. You need to stop hesitating and start moving, because hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever will. You think you're being careful. You think you're playing it safe, but really you're slowly giving up your power. You've got to take that power back by proving to yourself that you are stronger than your thoughts, that you can act without the perfect setup, that you don't need permission to take charge of your life. When you force yourself to move forward, even just a little, your confidence grows. You stop needing external motivation. You build internal strength, and that strength becomes the reason you keep going. Nothing changes until you do. Not the people around you, not your job, not your circumstances. You can wish all day for better circumstances, but if you're not willing to act while you're stuck, those circumstances will stay the same. You are the trigger. You are the spark. And you don't wait for it. You become it. So if you're stuck right now, don't wait for clarity. Go create it. Make one phone call. Start the task. Show up for the workout. Speak the truth you've been holding back. Do one small thing that proves to yourself you're not trapped, because you're not. You're just not acting. And the moment you act, everything around you begins to shift. Nobody is coming to do it for you. Nobody is going to hand you the confidence. You build it by doing. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it feels uncomfortable, but that discomfort is not your enemy. It's the price you pay to grow. Every time you feel stuck and act anyway, you build muscle, mental muscle, emotional muscle, and with every bit of that muscle, your old excuses start to fade. Stop thinking your way out of a hole and start climbing. You don't need perfect steps. You need forward ones. You don't need to do it all today. You need to do something today. That's how you shift your state. That's how you go from stuck to strong. One decision at a time, one action at a time. And each time you act, you make it harder for that weak version of you to take control again. Force is not a bad word. It's how you take back your energy. It's how you stop letting your emotions decide your day. You wake up, you feel heavy, and you move anyway. That's the muscle you build. That's what separates you from the old version of you, the one who made excuses, the one who waited for the perfect time, the one who lived in hesitation. That version doesn't belong in your future. You've outgrown it. You want to feel powerful, Move when you're tired. Show up when you feel lost. Speak up when you're scared. Finish the task you want to quit. Action beats doubt. Action beats fear. Action beats everything that keeps you small. And the more you do it, the more you start to believe in yourself again. You won't need anyone to tell you you're capable. You'll know it because you've lived it. That's how you rebuild yourself. That's how you break through. That's how you turn your life around. Not with ideas, but with movement. And no one else can do it for you. Not your mentor, not your family, not your friends. They can support you, but they cannot act for you. Only you can decide to stop thinking and start doing. Only you can decide to stop living inside your head and start building something real. And that decision changes everything. You don't need to take over the world today, but you do need to take over your choices. Start small. Start messy. Start afraid. Just start. The rest will follow. Because motion creates possibility. And when you start moving, you start creating options that didn't exist before. You open doors. You build strength. You become someone who moves forward no matter how stuck they feel. You are not stuck. You are just used to stopping. You are not lazy. You just haven't moved in a while. You are not broken. You just need to act again. And once you do, you'll see what you're really made of. You'll see that you're capable of more than you thought. And that feeling, that knowing will be the fire that carries you through the next challenge. So move, act, push forward. Your life is waiting for you on the other side of this stuck moment. Make it happen. Chapter 4. Say no to comfort and mean it this time. Say no to comfort and mean it this time. Because comfort is the trap that steals your future while convincing you everything is fine. It's the silent killer of discipline, ambition, and self-respect. It feels good in the moment, but it takes everything from you in the long run. The truth is, the life you want is not found in comfort. It's built in discomfort, sacrifice, and consistent effort. If you've been choosing comfort day after day, then you've already seen what it leads to. Staying the same, staying soft, staying behind. That's why this time it can't be a maybe. It has to be a real no. Comfort isn't just a feeling. It's a decision you keep making. When you skip the workout, it's comfort. When you sleep in, instead of getting up to work on your goals, it's comfort. When you scroll for hours while your dreams wait in the background, that's comfort winning. And the more you choose it, the more your mind starts believing that it's the right choice, that this is how life is supposed to be. But deep down, you know better. You can feel it. You can feel the pull toward more. But you're not going to get there doing what's easy. This time, you need to break the pattern. You need to stop negotiating with that voice inside you that keeps telling you to relax, slow down, take it easy. That voice doesn't care about your future. It only wants you to feel safe now. It wants you to stay the same. It doesn't care about your goals, your values, or your potential. And the more you listen, the more disconnected you become from the person you were meant to be. If you want to feel proud of yourself again, then you have to start saying no when comfort calls. It's not going to be easy because comfort has become your habit. It's the default choice. It's what you've trained your body and your mind to lean on. But habits can be broken. And it starts with being honest. Not excuses, not justifications, but real uncomfortable honesty. Look at the areas where comfort has cost you. Look at the things you keep putting off. Look at the standards you've let slip. That version of you, the one that always chooses easy, has been making decisions for too long. You've let it take the lead. Now it's time to take the lead back. If you keep giving into comfort, your goals won't matter. They'll just become ideas you once had. Dreams you talked about. Promises you made to yourself but never kept. You'll wake up months or years from now in the same place, wondering how you got stuck. But the truth is, you didn't get stuck. You stayed stuck by choice, by choosing what felt good over what was good for you. That's why this chapter of your life has to be different. This time the answer to comfort is no. Every time you say no to comfort and take action instead, you build strength. You build discipline. You build belief. That belief doesn't come from listening to motivational talks or reading more quotes. It comes from doing what's hard. It comes from looking comfort in the face and walking the other way. You build a new identity when you start living by your values instead of your urges. And that new identity, stronger, sharper, more disciplined, becomes the foundation for everything else. You don't grow when you're comfortable. You don't evolve when everything feels easy. You grow when your body is tired, but you keep going. You grow when your mind says stop, but you don't listen. You grow when nobody is watching, and you still give it your best. That's what changes you. That's what kills the weak version of you and gives birth to someone new, someone focused, someone powerful, someone serious about their life. Comfort feels good in the moment, but regret lasts much longer. Think about all the moments you gave into comfort and later felt the guilt. That weight doesn't leave you quickly. It stays. It reminds you that you took the easy road when you were capable of more. But here's the good news. You don't have to keep living like that. You can make a decision today. A real one, a strong one. You can draw the line and say, from now on, I choose growth. I choose action. I choose the hard path that leads to something better. It won't be perfect. You will slip. You will face moments when comfort seems louder than your vision. But if you commit and really mean it, you'll keep moving forward. Progress doesn't mean perfection. It means you stop living by how you feel and start living by what you've decided. That's maturity. That's leadership. That's what builds a life worth living. When you wake up tomorrow, the old patterns will try to come back. They'll tell you it's okay to skip the hard things. They'll tell you you've earned a break. They'll whisper all the same things they always do. But this time, your response has to be different. No, not this time. Not anymore. You have work to do. You have standards now. You have a future to protect. And you're not going to let the old version of you steal it. This is not about being extreme. It's about being committed. It's about doing what you said you would do. It's about looking yourself in the mirror and knowing you're living with purpose. Comfort is addictive. It will always feel better at first, but the power comes when you stop chasing the short-term pleasure and start chasing the long-term result. That's when your life starts to shift. You'll feel the change. You'll start respecting yourself more. You'll stop second-guessing your abilities. You'll start trusting your own decisions because you're no longer driven by emotions. You're driven by principles. You're no longer trying to escape discomfort. You're leaning into it. And when you do that, you become unstoppable. Don't let another day pass where comfort wins. Say no and mean it. Not for one day, not for 1 week, but until that no becomes who you are. Until saying yes to discipline feels more natural than saying yes to the couch. Until pushing through resistance becomes your new normal. That's how you turn the corner. That's how you create a life that reflects who you truly are, not who you've been pretending to be. You're not here to be average. You're not here to settle. You're not here to live a life that feels safe, but leaves you empty. You're here to push limits. You're here to build something meaningful. And that only happens when you make decisions based on where you're going, not where you are. So when comfort shows up, ask yourself, does this choice serve my future or my feelings? If it only serves your feelings, walk away. Every time you choose discomfort, you train yourself to rise. You teach your mind that growth matters more than ease. You show yourself what you're made of. And over time, the pain becomes purpose. The struggle becomes strength. And your life becomes a reflection of that daily decision to show up when it was hard. This is your turning point. The moment you stop negotiating with the part of you that wants to take it easy, the moment you stand up and say, I'm not doing this halfway anymore. You've wasted enough time going in circles, enough time starting and stopping, enough time avoiding what needs to be done. Now it's time to rise, to work, to lead yourself with strength. Say no to comfort and mean it this time. Not as a temporary push, but as a standard you live by. Not because someone told you to, but because you've decided you're done being average. You've decided you're ready to become someone you respect again. That begins the moment you stop letting comfort run your life and start showing up for the life you really want, starting now. Do what's right even when it feels bad. That's the kind of decision that separates the people who grow from the ones who stay stuck. Life doesn't reward you for what you say you're going to do. It rewards you for what you actually do, especially when it's difficult. Most people do what's easy, and they try to make it look like they're doing something meaningful. But the people who really change, who really grow, who really level up, are the ones who keep going when it feels heavy. They don't quit just because it doesn't feel good. They follow through because they've decided what kind of person they want to be. Doing what's right isn't about how it feels, it's about what it means. It means you're someone who doesn't break your word just because emotions shift. It means you don't run from hard conversations just because they make you uncomfortable. It means you don't compromise your values to keep others happy or to avoid feeling pressure. The people who get ahead in life are not the ones who avoid discomfort. They're the ones who walk through it with clarity. They know that growth often comes with pain. But they also know that doing what's wrong to feel good never works long term. You know what's right deep down. You always do. The challenge is doing it when your emotions are pulling you in the opposite direction. When you're tired and doing what's right means putting in extra effort. When you're angry and doing what's right means staying calm and grounded. When you're scared and doing what's right means showing up anyway. In those moments, your feelings try to convince you to take the easy road. But you already know what that road leads to. Regret, weakness, and disappointment. You've been there before. You felt the weight of knowing you didn't show up when you should have. That's a pain you don't need to feel again. Character is built in the moments nobody sees. When you do what's right, not for applause, not for validation, but because that's who you've decided to be. You don't need a crowd to watch you. You just need to hold yourself to a higher standard. You need to look at your life and decide that you're done breaking promises to yourself. Because every time you do what's right when it's hard, you build trust in yourself. And every time you avoid it, you lose a little bit of that trust. That's why some people walk around with low confidence. It's not because they're not talented. It's because they don't follow through on what they know they should be doing. They've trained themselves to avoid challenge. And when you avoid challenge long enough, your life gets smaller. Your vision shrinks. You stop aiming high because you've stopped believing you can handle what comes with it. But you're not stuck. You can take your power back. You do it by taking the hard action even when it feels wrong in the moment. Think about how many times doing what's wrong felt easier. Skipping the workout, telling a lie instead of facing the truth, blaming someone else instead of owning your part, staying quiet when you should have spoken up, letting your standards slide just to get temporary relief. Those choices might have felt good in the moment, but they built a weaker version of you, and you know it. That version of you is not who you want to be anymore. You've outgrown it. From now on, your job is simple. Make the right move even when everything in you wants to make the easy one. Push through the discomfort. Choose what aligns with your goals, your values, and your standards. It will be hard, but that's where the power is. It's in doing the right thing on the hard day. It's in sticking to your word, even when nobody is watching. It's in handling your responsibilities when you're tired, frustrated, or overwhelmed. People talk about wanting to be strong, but strength is not given. It's earned, and it's earned in those moments when you choose discipline over emotion, when you choose clarity over chaos, when you act with integrity, even when it costs you comfort. You don't need to feel perfect to make the right move. You just need to decide that your standards mean more than your temporary feelings. And here's something most people won't tell you. Doing what's right often feels wrong in the beginning. It feels heavy. It feels frustrating. It feels lonely because most people around you are doing the opposite. They're chasing what feels good right now. They're trying to avoid anything that makes them uncomfortable. But you're not most people. You've decided to live differently. You've decided to build a life that reflects real strength. Not just talk, not just appearance, but actual strength built through consistent hard decisions. You will be tested. You will face moments when doing what's wrong feels easier, safer, or more comfortable. And in those moments, you'll need to remember who you are. You're not the person who quits. You're not the one who lies to themselves. You're not someone who avoids responsibility just because it's difficult. You've done that before, and you know where it leads. This time, you're choosing better. Doing what's right might feel like a sacrifice in the moment, but it always pays off. It builds peace. It builds trust. It builds pride. Real pride, the kind that comes from knowing you're living with purpose. You can't buy that feeling. You can't fake it. You earn it by showing up when it's hard, by pushing forward when your mind says, stop, by being the person who does what needs to be done, even when nobody else will. That's what leadership looks like. That's what real discipline looks like. It's quiet. It's steady. It's built behind the scene. But over time, it changes everything. Your mindset shifts. Your habits improve. Your results start to reflect the work you've been putting in. And it all started with one thing. You made the right decision when it was hard to make. You're not going to get it perfect. You're human, but perfection isn't the goal. Progress is, consistency is, showing up is if you miss a step, get back on track. Don't spiral. Don't overthink. Just get back to doing what's right. That's how you build resilience. That's how you build a life you can be proud of. The weak version of you doesn't want you to hear this. It wants you to keep choosing comfort. It wants you to keep chasing the easy route. But you know better now. You've seen what happens when you do what's right, even when it feels bad. You've seen the strength that comes from, and you want more of that. You want more of that real earned strength, because that strength will carry you through anything. So no more excuses, no more justifying low standards, no more waiting until it feels right. You act because it is right. You follow through because that's who you are now. You raise the bar because you're done being average. You've got goals that deserve a stronger version of you. And that version is built every time you make the decision to do what's right, even when it feels bad. Especially when it feels bad. This is how you win. Not by finding shortcuts. Not by avoiding pressure, but by leaning into it with clarity. By trusting that your future deserves more than your feelings in the moment. You've got what it takes. You've always had it. Now prove it to yourself. Start with the next decision, then the next one, and don't stop. Keep choosing what's right. Keep raising your standards. Keep becoming the person you know you're meant to be. That's how you kill the weak version of yourself. One strong decision at a time, starting right now. Shut down every weak thought in your head. That's not a suggestion. That's a requirement. If you want to grow, improve, and build the kind of life that makes you proud to wake up every day, weak thoughts don't just come and go. They multiply when you let them stay. If you don't stop them early, they take over. They shape how you see yourself. They lower your standards. They kill your drive. And if you keep entertaining them, they become part of your identity. That's why you have to recognize them fast and shut them down without hesitation. The weak thoughts sound like this. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. What if I fail again? Nobody cares. It's too late for me. These aren't facts. They're lies you've been telling yourself for so long that now they feel true. But just because a thought feels familiar doesn't mean it's right. It just means you've repeated it too many times. You didn't choose those thoughts. They were built through your habits, your setbacks, your fears, and your past. But today, you have a choice. You can stop feeding them. You can interrupt the pattern. You can replace them with stronger ones. Every time you allow a weak thought to stay in your mind, it steals your energy. It distracts you. It makes you question yourself. And slowly, without even noticing, you start moving slower. You hesitate more. You start second-guessing every move. The more space you give to those weak ideas, the more power they have over your life. That's why shutting them down is not optional. It's necessary. It's not about pretending they don't exist. It's about choosing not to believe them anymore. If you want real change, you need to be ruthless with your thoughts. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every voice in your head deserves to be heard. You've got to treat your mind like a high-security zone. Only strong, focused, useful thoughts are allowed in the you catch them, call them out, and remove them immediately. No discussions, no debates. You don't argue with weakness. You replace it. Weak thoughts don't show up when you're feeling good. They show up when you're tired, overwhelmed, frustrated, or afraid. That's when they sneak in. That's when they sound the most convincing. And if you're not paying attention, you start agreeing with them. You start letting them guide your actions. That's how momentum dies. That's how discipline disappears. That's how confidence fades. You start choosing your thoughts based on emotions, not truth. You're not stuck. You're just letting the wrong voice speak too loud. The strong version of you already exists. It's the part that pushes through. It's the part that doesn't need motivation to do what's right. But it's been drowned out by the noise in your own head, the doubt, the fear, the old stories you keep repeating. If you want to hear the strong voice again, you have to silence the weak one. Not once, every day, over and over, until it knows it's no longer welcome. Shutting down weak thoughts starts with catching them in real time. The moment you hear yourself say, "I can't stop," don't let it finish. Don't let it play out. Replace it instantly with, "I will figure it out." When your mind says, "This is too much," replace it with, "I've handled worse." When it says, "Why even try?" you say, "Because I refuse to quit." You train your brain the same way you train your body, through repetition, through resistance, through doing it even when it feels uncomfortable. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first because your weak thoughts are deeply rooted. They've been sitting in your head for years. They've been reinforced by people, experiences, failures, and your own insecurities. But they are not permanent. You are not stuck with them. You are not broken. You are not doomed. You are just untrained. And that's good news, because training is in your control. Start speaking to yourself like someone you actually respect, like someone you want to see win, like someone who deserves better than giving in to every fear and doubt that pops up. You wouldn't let a stranger talk to you the way you talk to yourself when you're down. So why tolerate it from your own mind? Talk back. Push back. Be aggressive about it. Say, "I don't think that way anymore." Say, "That's not me now." Say, "That thought is not helpful." You don't need to be polite with weakness. And here's the real truth. Nobody is coming into your mind to clean it up for you. Nobody is going to reach in and remove your self-doubt. That job is yours. That's the part of growth people don't talk about enough. It's not just about discipline with your time. It's discipline with your thinking. The same way you don't eat junk food if you want to feel good physically. You don't feed your mind garbage if you want to be strong mentally. Your environment matters too. If you're surrounded by people who always complain, always doubt, always expect failure, you'll start thinking like them. That's not negativity. That's fact. Your thoughts are shaped by what you allow around you. So be selective. Protect your energy. Choose people who push you, not drain you. Choose inputs that strengthen your mindset, not weaken it. Podcasts, books, videos, conversations. Every input counts, and everyone either builds you or breaks you. Weak thoughts are quiet at first. They don't scream. They whisper. They say, "You can skip today. Nobody will notice. This won't matter." But everything matters. Every choice counts. Every day, you ignore a weak thought. You build strength. Every time you act in spite of doubt, you become harder to shake. Every time you keep going when it feels easier to stop, you take control back. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being in charge. You don't have to eliminate every doubt forever. You just need to stop obeying it. You need to stop letting it run the show. Thoughts will come and go. That's normal. But what you do with them, that's where your power is. A thought is just a sentence in your mind. You decide whether it becomes your story. You already know what happens when you let the weak thoughts stay. You've seen what they do to your habits, your goals, your mood. So now you have to do something different. You have to shut them down without mercy. That's how you shift from stuck to focused. That's how you move from fear to power, not by feeling different, but by thinking different and then acting on it. Talk to yourself like it matters because it does. How you speak to yourself when nobody is around is exactly what builds your real mindset. You want to be mentally tough. Then stop being mentally lazy. Stop letting every fear pass through without being challenged. Stop letting every excuse land without pushback. You don't need to be brutal. You just need to be honest. If a thought doesn't move you forward, it has no place in your mind. If a belief holds you back, it doesn't belong in your future. You've got too much to do to let weakness live in your head rent-free. You've got goals to hit, people to impact, a future to build. And that future starts the moment you stop feeding the thoughts that keep you small. You're not weak. You've just been repeating weak thoughts. But repetition works both ways. You can start today right now by repeating something stronger. I don't quit. I'm getting better. I do hard things. I show up. I control my focus. I lead my thoughts. Say it again. Say it until it feels natural. Say it until the old version of you gets drowned out, and then act on it. Because thoughts only mean something when you act like they're true. This is how you break free. Not with more motivation, with better thoughts, with better patterns, with better mental habits. You don't rise by chance. You rise by choice. And that choice begins in your head. So shut down the weak thoughts. Stop giving them power. Stop giving them space. Speak strength. Think strength. Move with strength. And don't stop ever. That's how the strong version of you becomes permanent. That's how the weak version gets left behind. One thought at a time. One decision at a time. Starting now. Pick yourself up without waiting for motivation. That's the shift that changes everything. You can't keep sitting around hoping to feel inspired. That's not how real progress is made. You don't wake up one day magically full of energy and ready to conquer everything. That version of life doesn't exist. And the people who keep waiting for it are the ones who stay behind. You have to move without a spark. You have to take action before your emotions line up. You get up because it's time, not because it feels right. That's how you grow up mentally. That's how you build real strength. There will be days when you don't want to move, when your mind is full of noise, when your body feels heavy, and that's when it matters most. That's when you prove to yourself that you don't need to feel like it to do what needs to be done. Motivation might show up once in a while, but discipline needs to be your default. You act because you made a decision, not because you're in the mood. People who rely on moods never get consistent results. They have good days and bad days, but nothing stays steady. That's not how you build a meaningful life. You've got goals that can't wait until you're in the right mindset. You've got responsibilities that don't care about your feelings. You've got a future that only becomes real if you act even when you're empty. And when you do that enough times, something inside you changes. You stop needing to be pushed. You become someone who pushes themselves. You become someone who moves without a pep talk. And that kind of person is unstoppable. You have to be honest about how many times you've delayed your progress by saying, "I'm not ready yet," or "I'll start tomorrow," or "I need to feel better first." You know where those thoughts lead? Nowhere. They keep you stuck in place. They make you feel like you're trying, but really, you're just repeating the same cycle. Action is what breaks that cycle. Not more thinking, not more planning, not more waiting for a better mood. Just action. Even if it's small, even if it's messy, even if it's done with low energy, you move and then everything else starts to shift. People overestimate how much motivation they need and underestimate how much momentum they can build through action. That's where confidence comes from. You don't build confidence by sitting still. You don't build self-respect by doing nothing. You build both by showing up when you don't feel like it, by doing what's right without waiting for the perfect time, by taking the first step and letting the process build your fire. You have to lead your emotions instead of letting them lead you. If you wait for the right mood, you give your power away. You say, "I'll only move when something outside of me pushes me," but nothing outside of you can carry your life. That's your job. You can't depend on a video, a quote, or a feeling to do the work for you. Those things can help, but they're not the foundation. The foundation is your decision to act, whether you feel good or not. Some of your most important wins will come from days when you were tired, frustrated, or unmotivated, but you showed up anyway. Those are the days that build your character. That's where growth really happens. Not when everything is lined up, but when everything feels off and you still refuse to fold. That's what separates those who talk about change from those who actually live it. You've spent enough time waiting. You've spent enough time thinking about how to get motivated. What you need now is motion. Get out of bed. Even if your body says stay, open the book. Even if your brain says you're too tired, start the workout. Even if you feel weak, sit down and work. Even if your mind says you're not in the zone, you don't need the zone. You need the action. The zone shows up after you start, not before. This is about building a habit of movement, not perfection, just movement. Because once you teach yourself that you can act without motivation, you take back full control of your life. You stop waiting for the right time. You become someone who creates it. That's the mindset that builds success in anything. Fitness, business, relationships, self-discipline. It's not about having energy all the time. It's about doing what needs to be done. Energy or not. You've already lost time listening to your feelings. Now it's time to lead them. If your mind says, "I don't feel like it," your answer is, "I'm not asking for permission." That's the standard now. You don't negotiate with laziness. You don't debate with hesitation. You just move, and every time you do, you build mental toughness. You become more reliable, more grounded, more in control of your path. This doesn't mean you'll never feel off. It doesn't mean you'll always be on fire. It just means you're done using that as a reason to stay down. You've got a mission now, and you don't let your emotions stop the mission. You stay committed regardless of your mood. That's what maturity looks like. That's what leadership looks like. It starts with how you lead yourself. You don't need to wait for someone to inspire you. You don't need more hype. What you need is proof that you can move without it. And the only way to get that proof is to do it today, right now. Take the smallest step. Clean your space. Organize your time. Write something down. Make the call. Face the task. Do something that moves you 1 inch forward. And don't wait to feel excited. That's not the goal. The goal is progress. And the best part, when you do this consistently, your feelings start catching up. You start feeling better after the action, not before. That's how momentum works. You move first, and then the energy comes. You lead, and the motivation follows. You build the internal fire, not by sitting and hoping, but by moving and earning it. You already know what it feels like to stay stuck. You already know what it looks like to delay everything until you're in the mood. That path has nothing new for you. It's tired. It's old. It's done. This is your chance to take a better one. One where you don't need anything outside of you to get moving. One where your habits are stronger than your moods. One where you act because it's time to act. It doesn't matter how slow you start. What matters is that you start. Every small action builds trust. Every decision to move builds power. You've waited enough. You've hoped enough. Now it's time to take control. Get up. Do what needs to be done. Don't wait. Don't ask how you feel. Ask what needs to happen and make it happen. That's how the strong version of you is created. That's how you leave the weaker version behind. One motion at a time, every single day. Challenge the part of you that fears effort, because that part is quietly holding you back from everything you're capable of. It's the part that whispers, "Take the easy way." It's the part that tells you you're not ready. It's the part that reacts to struggle like it's danger. And if you don't face it head on, it runs your life. You start building your routine around what feels light. You start shaping your choices around what doesn't stretch you. And before you know it, you're not moving forward. You're just staying safe. But nothing grows in safety. You grow through effort. You grow through resistance. You grow by facing what your weaker self wants to avoid. There's a reason people don't want to work hard anymore. It's because they've built a mindset where effort equals pain, and pain equals failure. But the truth is, effort is the entrance fee for progress. Effort is what filters the serious from the casual. And the problem isn't that you can't handle the work. It's that you've been listening to the voice inside you that avoids it. That voice doesn't care about your goals. It just wants relief. It wants ease. It wants shortcuts. But shortcuts never lead to strength. They lead to the same place over and over. Frustration, regret, and stagnation. You have to understand what's really happening. When you avoid hard work, you're not protecting yourself. You're shrinking yourself. Every time you dodge effort, you're saying, "I don't believe I can handle this," and you reinforce that belief. Every time you skip the hard rep, avoid the deep work, or pull back when it gets real, the only way to kill that mindset is to prove it wrong. Not by thinking differently, by acting differently. You challenge it by leaning into the effort. You show yourself that you can handle more than your feelings tell you. You can't train your body to be stronger without lifting more weight. You can't train your mind to be sharper without pushing it through challenge. You can't build resilience without walking through pressure. So stop trying to avoid the very thing that makes you powerful. You don't need less effort. You need more discipline. You need more moments where you say, "This is hard and I'm doing it anyway." That's where the confidence comes from. Not in the results, but in the process of earning them. The fear of effort isn't real. It's just an old habit. It's a reaction that formed after years of comfort. But you're not obligated to keep that reaction. You can change your association with hard work. You can stop seeing it as punishment and start seeing it as proof that you're serious. The pain, the struggle, the difficulty, none of that is the enemy. The real enemy is the idea that you shouldn't have to deal with it. That's what keeps you stuck. That's what keeps you weak. Look at your life and be honest. How many things have you avoided because they looked like too much work? How many times did you choose something easier and then feel empty afterward? You weren't tired because the goal was too big. You were tired because you didn't challenge yourself. You weren't overwhelmed because life was unfair. You were overwhelmed because you let the lazy part of you take control. But that doesn't have to be the story anymore. Effort isn't supposed to feel easy. That's the whole point. It's supposed to stretch you. It's supposed to create pressure because pressure reveals character. When everything's comfortable, everyone looks disciplined. But when the pressure hits, most people fold. They start making excuses. They start looking for the back door. But you challenge that reaction. You see the pressure and walk toward it because you know that's where growth is hiding. You're not here to prove anything to anyone else. You're here to prove it to yourself. And that proof only comes from doing what most people avoid. You wake up early when it's uncomfortable. You stay focused when your mind wants to quit. You put in the reps when you're not in the mood, not because it's fun, because it's necessary. And once you do it enough times, something shifts. You stop fearing the work. You start craving it because now it's part of who you are. Weakness doesn't go away by hoping. It goes away by pressure. You press against it over and over until it breaks. And that takes consistency. That takes ownership. That takes doing the work. Even when you feel resistance in your chest, when your legs are heavy, when your mind is racing, that's when the real training begins. That's when the stronger version of you shows up. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to stop running every time things get intense. Stop believing the lie that things should feel easy if they're meant for you. The best things in life take effort. Building your health, building your mindset, building your discipline, building your business, building your character. Every one of them requires sustained work. And if that scares you, good. That means you're finally looking at something real. That means you're finally facing the truth that you've been avoiding. You were not born weak. You were just never forced to push. Or maybe you pushed once and it didn't go well. So, you backed off and told yourself it wasn't for you. But now you're older. Now you're aware. Now you've seen what happens when you give in to comfort. And you're done with that version. You're done watching time pass without making progress. You're done saying, maybe later. This is the part where you go all in. This is the part where you say, I know it's going to be hard, and I'm not backing down. This is where you set new expectations for yourself. Not based on how you feel, but based on who you want to become. You don't need more time. You don't need better tools. You just need to challenge that voice in your head that says, this is too much. Because once you shut that voice down, you free yourself. You stop living in fear of effort and start using it as your advantage. You are capable of more than you think. But you'll never know that if you keep stopping at the first sign of struggle. You'll never see your full strength if you keep choosing the path that feels easiest. Real strength is built when everything in you says slow down and you keep going. When everything in you says stop and you take one more step. That's how you grow. That's how you transform. You don't need to enjoy every second of the process. You just need to respect what it's doing for you. Every hard moment is shaping you. Every moment of resistance is teaching you discipline. Every challenge you face is one less you fear. The work you do today becomes the strength you carry tomorrow. And the only thing standing in your way is the story in your mind about why you can't handle it. Change the story. Change the outcome. You will not rise by staying comfortable. You will not grow by playing small. Challenge the part of you that pulls back. Challenge the part that looks for excuses. Challenge the part that says, I've done enough. That version of you is the one that kept you average. It's the one that made you settle. And if you keep listening to it, your life will stay exactly where it is. But if you challenge it today, everything can change. There's something inside you that wants to be built. It's not built through ease. It's built through effort. So stop looking for the shortcut. Stop hoping for less pressure. Start showing yourself what you're made of. The discomfort won't kill you. The pressure won't break you. But avoiding it will slowly, quietly, completely. So take the next step. Embrace the next task. Push through the next challenge. Not because it's fun, because it's who you're becoming. The strong version, the focused version, the one that earns respect through action. That's the person you've been trying to reach. They're already inside you. You just have to stop protecting the version that's afraid of work. Let that version go. Challenge it until it no longer exists. Replace it with someone who's ready for more, and never stop pressing forward. Because this is how you rise. This is how you win. One hard moment at a time. Every single day from now on. Look at your habits and call out the lies. You owe yourself that honesty. You've been telling yourself you're trying, but your habits don't reflect it. You've been saying you want change, but your daily actions don't back it up. That's the gap that needs to be fixed. And it won't close with more words. It closes when you stop defending the patterns that keep you stuck. You've convinced yourself that you're doing your best, but deep down, you know you've been avoiding the truth. If you keep protecting your weak habits, you'll never become the strong version of yourself. Growth starts when you stop sugarcoating your own behavior. It's not enough to set goals. You need to evaluate whether your actions are aligned with those goals. You don't need more motivation, you need more honesty. Sit with yourself and break down your day. Where does your time really go? What do you do when nobody is watching? What choices do you repeat without thinking? You'll start to notice the lies. The moments where you say, just 5 more minutes, turn into hours. The times you say, I'll do it tomorrow, become weeks. The snacks you call a break become distractions. The rest you give yourself turns into avoiding what matters. It all adds up. And those little moments shape who you become. You have to stop pretending you don't know why you're not making progress. It's not a mystery. It's not bad luck. It's not someone else's fault. It's the collection of small choices that don't line up with your values. And those choices have become habits. Habits that feel normal but are quietly sabotaging your future. You can't change what you won't confront. And you won't confront it unless you're willing to say, this isn't working. I'm lying to myself. It's time to fix it. Calling out the lies is uncomfortable. That's why most people avoid it. It feels better to defend your behavior than to admit it's holding you back. But comfort won't change your life. Clarity will. When you admit that your habits are weak, you can finally replace them with stronger ones. You're not stuck. You're just stuck in a routine that keeps you from rising. And that routine needs to be broken. Not next week. Not when you feel ready today. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one shot. You need to start with the truth. Ask yourself, is this habit helping me or hurting me? And answer it without excuses. Be real about the results, not the intention, not the effort, the results. If you say you're working hard, but nothing's changing, maybe you're not working as smart or as consistently as you think. That's not judgment. That's awareness. And awareness is power. The moment you call out the lies, you stop living on autopilot. You stop making choices based on what's easy and start making choices based on what's right. You shift from defending your weaknesses to building your strengths. And that's when everything starts to change. You wake up with a purpose. You stop wasting time. You start building a rhythm that actually supports the life you say you want. Your habits are either proof of your growth or proof of your excuses, and you can tell which one they are by the results you're living in right now. If your body isn't where you want it to be, look at your daily discipline. If your goals are on hold, look at how you spend your evenings. If your mind feels cluttered, look at what you feed it every day. You are not separate from your patterns. You are a product of them. And if you want to change your life, you change what you repeat. Start small. Start with the obvious ones. The habits you've been defending with. It's not that bad. That phrase is the biggest trap. It's not that bad. Keeps people average. It keeps you stuck in the middle, not completely failing, but never moving forward. If you want to rise, not that bad isn't good enough. Your habits should push you. They should challenge you to become sharper, stronger, and more focused. And if they're not doing that, they need to be replaced. Don't confuse being busy with being productive. You can fill your day with tasks and still avoid the real work. That's another lie. The one that says, at least I'm doing something, but movement doesn't mean progress. Progress means growth. It means you're getting better, more skilled, more prepared, more capable. And you only get that by being intentional about what you repeat. Look at your environment too. What do you allow into your space? What distractions do you call relaxation? What people do you keep around who normalize mediocrity? These aren't random things. These are habits of the mind. And if you don't change your environment, You won't change your behavior. Your environment either reinforces your goals or weakens them. Choose it wisely. Track your time. Write down what you do every hour for a few days. You'll see patterns. You'll see where the lies live. The lie that you don't have time. The lie that you're always busy. The lie that you're trying your best. It will all be exposed. And when you see it, don't run from it. Own it. That's the only way to grow. The stronger version of you doesn't avoid reality. It faces it and builds from it. You don't rise by accident. You rise through intention, through deciding that your habits will reflect your vision, through refusing to lie to yourself just to feel comfortable. You will not feel good every day, but your habits can still be strong. You will not have clarity every hour, but your routine can still move you forward. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to stop letting your weaknesses control your schedule. You already know what habits you need to change. The problem is, you've been trying to keep them while expecting a different outcome. That's the biggest lie of all. You think you can eat poorly, sleep late, skip the hard work, and still win. You can't. Success doesn't reward comfort. It rewards discipline. It rewards consistency. It rewards truth. The truth is, your life right now is the result of the habits you've been defending. And if you want better results, it starts with dropping the lies. You don't need a perfect system. You just need the guts to be honest, to stop blaming time, to stop blaming circumstances, to stop pretending your bad habits are harmless. They're not. They're costing you time, energy, confidence, and growth, and they need to go. Build new ones. Replace the time-wasting routines with meaningful ones. Turn your excuses into effort. Turn your distractions into focus. Turn your breaks into intentional recovery, not avoidance. Do it because you're tired of the gap between who you are and who you want to be. Do it because you're ready to finally feel proud of how you live your day. Do it because the version of you that keeps lying to stay comfortable has done enough damage. This isn't about pressure. It's about power. The power that comes from knowing you're no longer lying to yourself. The power that comes from walking through your day with clarity and purpose. That's what it means to grow. Not to be perfect, but to be honest. To face what's holding you back and say, I'm not doing this anymore. From this point on, you look at your habits differently. You ask harder questions. You take responsibility. You stop justifying what doesn't serve you. You build new patterns with intention 1 hour at a time. You track. You measure. You stay aware. And when the lies try to creep back in, you shut them down before they take root. That's how you level up. That's how you earn progress. No more fake effort. No more passive routine. No more pretending. You move with purpose. You align your habits with your mission, and you commit to it not once every single day. That's how you build a life that reflects your potential, not through luck, through truth, through real action, through calling out the lies and living the standard you said you would. Starting now, decide who you want to be, then become it. That's the real starting point. That's where everything changes. Not when you set a goal, not when you make a plan, but when you make a decision about the kind of person you're going to become and back it up with your behavior. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they don't want more. It's because they never commit to becoming more. They stay attached to who they've been. They protect their patterns. They talk about change, but live like it's optional. The truth is, nothing will shift until you draw the line and say, this is who I am now. You can't build a strong life on a shaky identity. If you still think of yourself as average, lazy, undisciplined, or inconsistent, then every action you take will fall back into that belief. It doesn't matter how hard you try. If deep down you still see yourself as someone who can't follow through, you have to decide clearly and consciously who you're going to be from this point forward. Not who you were, not who people expect you to be, who you choose to become now. That decision is everything. It's not about waiting until you're ready. It's about acting like the person you want to be before you feel like them. Most people try to improve without changing their identity. They want better results with the same mindset. That doesn't work. If you want to build a new life, you have to step into a new version of yourself. You have to think different, move different, decide different. The version of you that wakes up early, stays focused, shows discipline, and follows through. That person doesn't show up by accident. They show up because you stop being loyal to the old version and start living in alignment with your future. Don't wait for permission to change. Don't wait for the perfect timing. Don't wait for more confidence. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after you show up. After you stay consistent, after you start proving to yourself that this new version of you isn't just an idea, it's real. That's how you start becoming it. You don't become who you want to be through more talk. You become it through daily action, repeated choices, small shifts that you commit to regardless of how you feel. This is not about pretending. It's not about faking it. It's about aligning. It's about matching your decisions with your standards. If you say you want to be focused, then stop making choices that lead to distraction. If you say you want to be strong, then stop avoiding resistance. If you say you want to be consistent, then stop waiting for motivation. Every decision is a vote for the person you're becoming. And if your decisions don't match the identity you claim to want, then you're not committed. You're just interested. Interest isn't enough. You've been interested for years. You've wanted more. You've thought about change. You've imagined a better version of your life. But none of that matters if your actions still support the old you. That version, the one who delays, avoids, escapes, hesitates, has had enough time. Now it's time for a new one who leads, one who executes, one who doesn't let feelings decide the day. You become that person, not by waiting to feel different, but by choosing different even when the feeling isn't there. Start with the basics. How does that version of you think? What time do they wake up? How do they handle challenges? What do they do when things get boring or difficult? How do they treat their body? How do they speak to themselves? How do they use their time? Answer those questions with clarity and then match your actions. That's how identity becomes real. Not through hope, through alignment. Stop saying I'll try. That's the language of someone who hasn't made a decision. Trying means you're giving yourself an exit, a backup plan. But when you decide who you want to be, there's no trying. There's only doing. You're not perfect. You don't have it all figured out, but you show up anyway. You stay with it. You act like the person you've chosen to become, not the one you've been running from. This decision doesn't need a special moment. It needs honesty. The moment you're tired of repeating the same year over and over, you're ready. The moment you feel the weight of wasted potential, you're ready. The moment you stop making peace with your distractions, you're ready. Becoming that version of you isn't complicated. It's uncomfortable. It requires saying no when it's easier to say yes. It requires staying consistent when nobody's clapping for you. It requires doing things that your past self never would have committed to. You already know the actions. You know what needs to change. The issue is that you keep looking at change as something you have to feel excited about. But real change isn't always exciting. It's boring. It's repetitive. It's built in silence. But that's what makes it powerful. You don't need attention. You need follow-through. You don't need more hype. You need more clarity. You don't need better circumstances. You need better standards. And those standards start the moment you decide to become someone who actually lives them. You're not stuck. You're just loyal to behaviors that no longer serve you. You're attached to routines that reflect a version of you you've outgrown. And that attachment is costing you your potential. If you're tired of feeling behind, then let go of the habits that keep you there. If you're done being average, then stop defending the actions that built average results. If you want to be proud of your life, then live in a way that earns that pride. You'll have to walk away from some things, maybe even some people. You'll have to distance yourself from patterns that feel familiar but have no future. You'll have to shut down the part of you that keeps waiting for an easier path. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's maturity. That's discipline. And when you start moving like the person you've decided to be, life meets you with new results. Not instantly, but eventually and consistently. Most people stay stuck because they never choose. They drift. They try a little. They hope. But the ones who break through, the ones who truly transform, are the ones who choose with certainty. They say, "I'm done living like this." And they mean it. Not just for a week, not just for a goal, but for life. And that choice becomes their new foundation. You are not your past. You're not your failures. You're not your old habits. You're the person you choose to become now. And that choice is available to you at any moment. You can make it today. You can make it right now. You don't need permission. You don't need a second opinion. You just need to get clear. Decide who you want to be and back it up every single day. It's not going to be perfect, but that's not the point. The point is consistency. The point is discipline. The point is identity. You act like the person you've chosen to become until it becomes automatic, until it feels normal, until it no longer feels like effort. It just feels like you. That's the goal. To live in such alignment with your decision that nobody questions it, not even you. The person you want to become is already inside you, waiting for you to stop making excuses, waiting for you to stop negotiating with bad habits, waiting for you to stop telling the story of why you're not ready. That person is built, not found, and you build them one decision at a time, 1 hour at a time, one action at a time, every single day until it's done. This is your moment. The old version of you had its chance. It had its time. It made its choices. But now it's your turn to take over. Not with hope, not with talk, with action, with clarity, with full commitment. Decide who you want to be, then become it. Not next year, not later, now. Because this is the chapter where everything changes. If you're ready to write it, then start by living it and never look back.